What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Join Dota League Season 3. This is going to be a tiebreaker we have here. Well, that means only one game. We got Team Coast on the Radiant, myInsanity on the Dire, presented by HeflaTV. Here on HeflaTV 1, I'm going to be one of your casters, and for this very stressful one game, I brought along Grandisby as well.
Yeah, just came from an action-packed best of one, and one can hope for a repeat of that. We were hitting at almost 2 kills a minute. It was a mess, but a lot of fun to cast, so if you want to watch the VOD for that one, it will be uploaded to youtube.com/HeflaMogue later on today, so definitely comes highly recommended. Either way, these two teams should be fairly close as far as the skill department is concerned, and I'm hoping that they pull something out of the hat. For now, the bans are looking pretty vanilla, but I don't know, one can hope for Pocket Strat Huskar or something.
I haven't seen Coast play in quite a long time, but it seems like they have a little bit less of a team than last I checked. Seal Kid and Handskin are not the players that I've seen Coast play with previously, so I don't know, maybe something went wrong. I mean, they're only listed, the 3 Coast players that are listed on Join Dota are the 3 that actually have the tags on them, so I think myInsanity, just by that alone, should have a slight edge, because this Team Coast is not the usual Team Coast that, well, I've seen before.
Fair enough, definitely something to consider, excuse me. Yeah, it looks like myInsanity are also running with some stand-ins, but let me just double check that. I think Milan is a stand-in. Zimaj does play with them fairly consistently, so I'm not sure how that's going to change up the synergy for those teams. But for now, first pick Nature's Prophet from myInsanity, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I think Milan and Zmai are both actually, they're on the roster, just not really on the roster. They're pretty much on the roster. Either way, that's enough about that. With a Tidehunter and Batrider banned out rather early, this is going to give Coast quite a lot of picks. And Nature's Prophet first pick for myInsanity. It's a hero that is a perfectly viable first pick, though I would say there are generally stronger heroes out there. Team Coast, they have access to Faceless Void Skywrath Mage, you get a Brewmaster, Speak of the Devil, and it's going to be a Nature's Prophet to combo with that Brewmaster. So Team Coast already on a pretty good road down a team fighting oriented composition.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking at myInsanity's last draft, and inside it I see an Undying and a Phantom Assassin, as well as a Nature's Prophet. So one can hope that they just go super aggressive with heroes like that, but I doubt it. One can still hope. Yeah, right now, Brewmaster, Death Prophet, it's something that they're probably fairly comfortable with dealing with, or at least something that they've seen before, and seen a lot of times for that matter. Skywrath Mage is available in the pool, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them snag that up for themselves, as the Silence would be very useful up against the Brewmaster, and even against the Death Prophet. Even though it won't stop her spirits, it's still very useful for bursting her down, which is the way you want to deal with the Death Prophet. You won't get a BKB usually as her first item. The Eul Scepter could avoid a decent amount of that damage, but still, I think you can't really go wrong with the Skywrath here.
Yeah, or you could just pick up, for sure, Disable and the Shadow Shaman. Together with the Nature's Prophet, they'll have a good amount of push if they decide to go that route, but they're going to go with your proposed strategy. Skywrath Mage, you can never really go wrong with a very, very long silence with the Ancient Seal. Like, 6 seconds at level 4 is pretty crippling to anyone, really. So, you know, Nature's Prophet, Skywrath Mage, a solid enough combination. Pseudo combo with the Sprout Mystic Flare, it's okay sometimes, other times it just doesn't happen, but either way, it's myInsanity preparing for either an aggressive or defensive team comp, but I would say Team Coast right now have most of the initiative. They're going to be determining when and where things happen, with the Death Prophet pushing as well as the Brewmaster, who should eventually get a Blink Dagger. They will pretty much determine the pace of this game so far, unless myInsanity pick up a Clockwork or something like that. They could definitely swing it a little bit more towards their team, but I would expect myInsanity are going to be a little bit more reactive this game.
Yeah, I'd say that that's pretty fair. They can react pretty effectively, especially in the early portions with some TPs from Nature's Prophet. But yeah, once they get the blink on the Brewmaster, it is Team Coast that are going to call the shots. There's no similar timing with the first 2 heroes for myInsanity where they get that big of a leap of power. But yeah, Tree and Protector the ban for myInsanity. That's actually pretty interesting. It looks like they might not be committing fully into the pushing. I'm going to assume that Shadow Shaman is also going to be banned out, but then again, Nature's Prophet, it's kind of a double-edged sword when you're talking about a Treant Protector, as the Treants themselves can burst through the living armor pretty effectively, but then again, Nature's Prophet thrives off of the split damage, so myInsanity potentially looking to just divide the attention of Team Coast across the map, and I don't know, look to avoid the engagements and wait out the storm that is Brewmaster.
Yeah, with the Tree and Protector ban, myInsanity are kind of indicating that they're going to not... Well, I mean, Tree and Protector actually gets a lot weaker when he's just straight pushing, or when the enemy team is just straight pushing your towers, so the chip damage and the slow push of myInsanity's Nature's Prophet is going to be stymied a little bit should the Tree and Protector get into the field. So without the Tree and Protector, Nature's Prophet is probably going to want to play this a little bit more slowly. So, you know, they're probably going to prepare for a little bit of an elongated game. I wouldn't be surprised to see myInsanity transition to something more of a heavy hitter in the late game, whether that be a Gyrocopter, Spectre, any hero around those lines. They're definitely preparing for a good amount of early game coast aggression. Death Prophet Brewmaster can already kind of bring the heat early on, then getting rid of the Bristleback, another hero that gets active very early, but, you know, you can't ban them all. Centaur Warrunner is going to slip through, and Team Coast, they're going to get 3 of their cores right off the bat, with still quite a few support heroes left in the pool. These 3 cores from Coast are actually just very tanky and really difficult to deal with in general.
Yeah, definitely. myInsanity, they have the cream of the crop as far as supports are concerned. Shadow Shaman and Earthshaker are both in the pool, and I think either of them would work well with the Skywrath Mage in the laning phase, and then they transition in a different way, but still work well come the mid-game on top of that. I wouldn't be opposed to something like a Gyrocopter, as he'd be just a natural BKB carrier, which is going to be a necessity, up against a Brewmaster and Centaur, but instead, myInsanity, they are going to play this a little bit more passively. Sand King, with the Skywrath Mage, it definitely can make things happen around the map with a Concussive Shot as well as the Burrow Strike, but then again, Sand King, more often than not, he might get, like, 1 kill in the offlane, but then he's just going to chill in the jungle. Shadow Demon, the next pickup for Team Coast. This Shadow Demon, even if they don't have anything else to combo with it, which I'm going to assume their next support is, they still have decent spells to make kills happen, with the Centaur setting up for the Hoof Stomp, as well as the Brewmaster Thunderclap. Both when amplified with that Soul Catcher on top, is a pretty scary combo, especially in the early portions of the game.
Also, when you're dealing with the likes of Death Prophet Shadow Demon combination, when your Death Prophet is being focused by Burrow Strikes or Skywrath Mage aggression, whatnot, just being able to put Death Prophet into a bubble is going to add a couple more seconds of invulnerability on top of the Eul Scepter, which is a pretty useful tool. I mean, those spirits are always going to be flying around eating at your health while Death Prophet is in that pocket dimension, so Shadow Demon is a pretty nice defensive pick for Team Coast, as well as being a nice offensive pick. But myInsanity, this is their late game strategy. They're going to buy time with the Nature's Prophet split push, try to get the Sand King to the Blink Dagger, and try to get the Morphling a whole bunch of farm. Team Coast, they don't really have a great late game team, at least not versus the Morphling. Like, they can very easily burst him down for a good part of the game, but myInsanity, if it does come to the late game, then between Morphling and Nature's Prophet and the mobility that those 2 heroes have, it's going to be very difficult for Team Coast to get through that. The only question is, do myInsanity have enough to defend early on? Because Team Coast, they're going to bring the heat early, and myInsanity, they need another core to fight early on. They got a Puck banned out from them. As Team Coast, they're going to pick up the Lich, not even hesitating after having Mirana banned from them. So, yeah, Team Coast, they're just all aboard the aggression train, whereas myInsanity, they're going to try to play this as slowly as possible.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's going to fit the bill as far as a core that could make that space. Brewmaster and Puck would have been my first choices, although they were both either picked or banned. Other than that, myInsanity, they're going to go for a TA. This is actually a very interesting pick. I don't think this is going to be... Oh, this is very interesting. Shadow Demon and Lich are going to be burst down very effectively by TA if she gets off to an early start. But then again, if she doesn't get off to an early start, she's going to be in a bit of an issue, because there's just nobody making the space for myInsanity. Sand King's Blink Dagger is going to be wonderful, and that's going to be one of the biggest pickups, I feel, for myInsanity. If they're able to get the Sand King Blink at an early click, they'll have a lot better tools to deal with the aggression coming out from Team Coast. But then again, if the Sand King's Blink Dagger gets delayed, either by him having his jungle farm denied, or him dying just trying to get kills, they could be in for a bit of a very difficult mid-game. If they do take this late, there's very little that can compete up against the Nature's Prophet, Morphling, and TA in the later portions. But then again, this laning stage is going to be problematic, as is the early mid-game.
It's definitely possible for Templar Assassin to just run away with this game, assuming she gets an early start, and that is a possibility when you're looking at myInsanity's team comp, that you could just say, okay, well, maybe the Morphling doesn't even play in this game, and the other 4 heroes just win it on their own. I have seen that before, and it's not exactly something that's impossible, but TA in the lane matchup has to do very well for that to happen, and that's a little bit difficult to guarantee for your team. I thought that myInsanity were going to go more along the lines of Viper, someone who could fight very early on, get the mech, but I'm pretty sure Viper wasn't banned out, that's why I'm saying this, but either way, the teams are going to be rolling out and going to their respective lanes. Let's see what's going on the myInsanity side. We got Grazine sitting in the jungle, is going to be going bottom soon. Milan is going to be playing the mid lane Templar Assassin. Up top we have Zmai on the Morphling, along with Victor on the Skywrath Mage supporting, with LeBron Sand King. They're just going to get this Morphling as much space as they possibly can, and holy crap, I'm looking at Solon set on the Centaur. It is badass.
Well, I'll take that to introduce the team of Coast on the Radiant side, with Solon playing on the Centaur with his very beautiful set that I have no idea what it is. Either way, Ape Mother going to be handling the Brewmaster with Handskin on the Shadow Demon, as well as your other support being Seal Kid on the Lich. E-Skills on the Death Prophet will round out their lineup. But yeah, we can take that time to admire Centaur's beautiful armor.
Alright, so as far as the lanes are concerned, it looks like E-Skills is going to be going versus the Templar Assassin. This is actually a pretty good lane for Templar Assassin, as the Death Prophet is very reliant on the burst in order to get the creep kills, as well as, you know, just try to harass the Templar Assassin out of lane. Refraction's going to get some serious value. I thought Coast were going to put the Brewmaster in the mid lane, as the matchup there is actually pretty Brewmaster favored once you get Drunken Haze as well as Drunken Brawler, though the Templar Assassin will be able to, you know, take the Thunderclap to the face with a refraction and be fine after that. The Brewmaster with the Drunken Haze is just so freaking annoying, and for Templar Assassin, if you can't right-click people, then you're not doing your job right. Regardless, it is going to be a pretty even lane, even with this Templar Assassin versus Death Prophet matchup. Death Prophet, though, isn't really going to be able to get many kills outside of rotation from the Shadow Demon Lich, but it's a Shadow Demon Lich. Those two heroes don't exactly roam the best. The supports for Coast are probably going to be fairly static.
Yeah, I was hoping for something a little bit more aggressive. Even a support Kunkka could be really good for them, or would have been. But yeah, these are going to be more or less static lanes. I don't like the laning choice coming out from Coast. I think Lich Centaur in the off lane, and then you can put the Death Prophet Shadow Demon bottom with the Brewmaster mid. And yeah, if you are able to sustain that Drunken Haze, it's going to be very annoying. Yeah, I'm not expecting First Blood to actually happen for quite some time, as there's just not a whole lot of killing potential in these lanes, with the exception of Centaur as well as Shadow Demon, which might be able to catch out in Nature's Prophet. But even then, I think that Grazine's positioning should be well enough in order to keep himself safe. Sand King is currently sitting top with the Skywrath Mage. They have some decent killing potential of their own, but then again, Ape Mother's pretty tanky, and at the early points, Waveform just isn't going to cut it to get those early kills. I don't know. We'll see how it's actually going to happen. But without any missteps, I don't think anybody's going to die for at least the first 3 minutes or so.
Yeah, and the longer that early phase happens where no one dies, it's going to benefit myInsanity. They're going to get their farm on the Morphling, and if they get him to Boots, really, which is the core item that he wants to be going for first, then he's going to be fine. Otherwise, killing off the Morphling, would have been a lot easier every single time. The longer this game goes on, as we said before, the better myInsanity are going to have, as they do Fortify for some reason. That was just wasted, actually. They're going to go for Seal Kid over on top lane. The Burrow Strike from max range is going to hit, and the damage is going to be pretty high onto Seal Kid, but I don't think it's going to be enough. He will slip out of there, and he will force to tango up a whole bunch. LeBron taking quite a few hits as well. That's the boot opening for the Sand King, providing a little bit of value, but just not enough. Morphling at this level is not exactly a really powerful hero. If it was a Gyrocopter, maybe, or they definitely would have gotten that kill, but Morphling level 1 waveform is rather average.
Yeah, 100 damage from the waveform, and then 50 a pop from the auto attacks. It isn't going to cut it for the First Blood, and that's kind of what I was expecting to happen if they went for anything. I was more or less just expecting them not to go for it and have LeBron do what he's doing and stack up his jungle. It is going to be a stack with Mud Golems, which isn't going to be very useful for LeBron. Yeah, but that's really all that he's working with, as the other camps have been blocked. Not sure if this medium one was blocked by them, but this large one, I think that's dewarded effectively. Or was it? That's actually not going to spawn. I think he blocked it himself.
Well, that's a little bit embarrassing, but we're going to pretend that never happened, because it never happened. Still, it's going to be a relatively tame game as predicted. Solon's getting his farm down on bottom. A level 6 Centaur Warrunner can suddenly turn the on switch on in this game, and they could suddenly, Coast could look for some kills happening really anywhere as soon as the Centaur gets that level. So a very key level for Coast to pick up. And then E-Skills, of course, in the mid lane is going to be very happy with just playing super passively versus the Templar Assassin. He wants to get to that level 6 mark. And then, of course, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. each level is going to be very nice for E-Skills to have, as the tower from the mid lane myInsanity, they don't really have many great tools to defend against the Death Prophet pushing, so they're going to have to force a fight. They're going to go up onto Zmai on top for a little bit of damage, and they can't afford to do that, seeing as though the Morphling is now left here all alone. They can't get the kill, though. They just don't have enough damage for it. They will just right-click him down a whole bunch. The myInsanity side, they need to protect this Morphling, because Morphling doesn't get any farm, then it doesn't really matter what their heroes look like. Then the mid-game is going to just be out of control for myInsanity.
And currently the Morphling is getting no farm. If you compare his farm to that of the Centaur in the off lane, on the safe lane on the other side, Solon is 22 and 10 compared to the Morphling 7 and 3. This is just not where you want your Morphling to be at this point. The Scarlet Mage might have been able to help a little bit more, but I'm honestly surprised at 8 Mothers being able to put this much pressure. They can't get a kill on either the Sky or the Sand King with the way they're positioned currently. I don't know. They might put a decent amount of damage, but either way, Victor is just going to take the clap from 8 Mother. You can't go too deep into this one, and there is a Burst Strike as well as the Concussive Shot to bail him out, but now the Burst Strike going to be dropped to Seal Kid. LeBron, they don't have any vision for him, but they will TP in the Nature's Prophet to try to get Seal Kid down. Arcane Bolt, they'll need a couple more auto attacks. They find it from the Morphling. He's the one to drop First Blood. Grazine, he's trying to run away from 8 Mother. 8 Mother's now slowed up. Body Box coming out from the Morphling. They're going to turn for some more auto attacks. Now Grazine turning to get down this kill of the Brewmaster as well. He's getting a couple of lucky misses as well as Stout Shield procs, and I don't think it's going to be enough to save him. He sticks up and now looks for the kill on the Sand King. He'll find that before he falls, and that actually went better than I thought. Grazine is also going to die. 2 for 2 the trade up top. Not what I was expecting, but most importantly for them, the Morphling didn't die and is now 1-0-1 with that First Blood gold.
Yeah, the 2 for 2 engagement probably could have been a lot easier for myInsanity if they just, the body blocking was nice and everything, but at the end of the day they chased a little bit too far. Didn't keep track of the Lich respawn timer or something like that happened. Now they're going to go for killing the Morphling, who has a little bit of mana strength morph, and he actually is going to stick and waveform away. And now here comes Grazine. They want Seal Kid again. This is not how I expected myInsanity to play, but they're going to get another kill on this Lich. There it goes. 8 Mothers in the meantime chasing down Victor. Gonna land that clap. Only level 2 though. I think it will be enough damage. One more hit with a crit. That's definitely going to be enough damage. Now he's going to eat through the trees and now try to duel up against Grazine. He has 4 stick charges and Grazine doesn't have anything to speak of. 8 Mother looking for another clap. Will land it. Needs one more whack there. No, he's losing it. There it is. Double kill for 8 Mother, as this magic wand for the Brewmaster is certainly living up to its name. It just gave him 2-3 kills, I think, this magic wand. It's providing some serious value.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Brewmaster finding a lot more out of this lane, and just like clockwork, at 4 minutes in, like, everything just exploded in that top lane. They've moved Grazine in 2 times, and 2 times he's died. But then again, he also got 2 kills and has been involved in every single one of them. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world. They TP'd on the Morphling to bottom. This Morphling's just not going to get anything. He currently is sitting on a bottle, which is nice, I suppose, but he needs to be careful. There's a Stampede on that center. Waveform's not going to be a guaranteed escape, especially if they can catch him with the Shadow Demon as well. They might not have enough to drop him, but if he takes a little harass beforehand, the Morphling isn't going to be safely farming in this lane. I think it's going to be a similar story to what was happening up top. I'm not sure there's space for this Morphling to farm on the map. Templar Assassin's doing decently well up against the Death Prophet, winning out as far as CS is concerned. It's not enough to warrant how the early game has gone for myInsanity.
Bottom lane, they're looking for it. There's the Disruption and the Stampede, and the Hoof Stomp is there. Only going to hit onto 1, but this is a very dead Skywrath Mage. Zmai did manage to dodge that with the Waveform, and he did take the Curse from the Skywrath, but it's just not going to be enough. Once the Stampede is popped, I don't think there's any way for a level 3 Skywrath Mage to withstand that. Centaur could have feasibly gotten the kill by himself, and now that he has enough gold for a Blink Dagger, which he should be picking up, no, it's going to be Tranquils first, and then wait for a Blink Dagger. I would have liked to see just Blink Dagger straight up. You're going to get the gold for Tranquils eventually. Either way, he will have that regeneration, and the Blink Dagger is going to come very shortly. The supports for myInsanity and even the Morphling are suddenly no longer safe versus the Centaur, because if they get blunk upon with the Hoof Stomp, it's just all over. LeBron and Victor, they're back on the bottom lane, but Solon with the Tranquils is going to be very quickly back at full HP, so I don't think these two supports, being at the levels that they are, can actually kill off the Centaur. Maybe if the Sand King had a Blink Dagger, maybe if definitely if the Skywrath Mage had a Flare, but seeing as though they don't, the Centaur is just going to be fine in this bottom lane. 1v3 is no problem at this stage.
Yeah, it's not. I like the Tranquils first, as if you went for the Blink Dagger, you'd have to go back to base, as there's no, like, salve or anything on the other heroes. They're going to go for it, but they miss the Burrow Strike. Solon's completely fine and might be able to make a turn. They're going to silence him up, and he takes a lot more damage than I anticipated. He still hasn't stomped, and he's going to stomp and then completely miss. Solon's going to be fine under tower, I think. Yeah, they won't be able to bring him down. They'll put him pretty low, but it's just not enough.
Man,
They needed that burrow strike to hit.
Those canceled stomps, he canceled it twice when he would have hit 2 people both times and then stomped for 0 people. It's just like him probably getting into his own head more so than anything else, but it doesn't really matter because he survives, and that's really what he wanted. And now he has enough money for his Blink Dagger, so that kill would have been a key one for myInsanity. Would have slowed down the Centaur War Runner, not by a huge amount, but by enough to make it a little bit inconvenient for him. He's still in a little bit of trouble because LeBron is still in the area, but this Sand King, though he is level 5 and does have a pretty decent skill in the level 3 Burrow Strike, really just should be looking for his Blink Dagger right now. He's probably going to try to do that by killing off a Lich, which is a little bit possible, I guess, but not with just a Morphling here. Morphling still doesn't do that much damage. Waveform is all well and good. With the Burrow Strike, it's a good amount of initiation since you could get them from quite a long range, but it's just not enough damage to kill off really anyone. Maybe it'll kill off a Lich, but not when a Lich is hiding behind your tier 1. Coast are going to be sitting pretty with the fact that their Centaur has a Blink Dagger, and crucially, myInsanity do not know about it. Zmai is in so much trouble right now, but he has no clue. He has no freaking clue. Solon just waiting for it. There it is. Is he not going? I would be going for that just like right now, and it's just like a Blink, Hoof Stomp, Double Edge, and that's the death of the Morphling. There it is. Blink, Hoof Stomp, Double Edge. Okay, Chain Frost 2. That's fine, I guess, if you really wanted to get him dead. They got him, and that's really what counts.
I suppose so. Yeah, they are going to drop the Chain Frost for it, which is a pretty significant cooldown at these lower levels. But yeah, killing the Morphling is what they need to be doing. Templar Assassin is probably the next hero on their docket here, as she is going to purchase herself up, looks like, I don't know, just a Blade of Alacrity toward the Yasha. This Templar Assassin, she's getting some pretty decent farm and sitting comfortably in the net worth department, but I'm not sure if this is enough. If they do want to be playing as aggressively as I think they do, the Blink Dagger first on Templar Assassin might have served her better, and then I think just the BKB first would have been the ideal choice. That's probably the only way you're surviving in the team fights. And I'm not sure you're going to be able to find enough pickoffs. The Yasha just seems like an awkward middle ground.
So LeBron is actually jungling in the enemy's jungle. He's actually stacked it up for himself, and he's going to get a good amount of gold from this one. However, I think, oh yeah, he actually did kill off all those little birds. Steel Kid and Solon are both around, and there's the Blink Hoof Stomp. LeBron, you stuck around for way too long. Double Edge is going to go on the Centaur, trying to get him with the splash kill, but now the Stampede. I don't think the Sand King can outrun this. He's so close to his Blink Dagger, yet so far away. One more whack will do it. Double Edge, anything. There's a Blink, short range for the kill. In the meantime, Brazil and Milan, just, you know, in the Roshan pit casually with the Treants tanking and the level 3 meld minus armor. They might get this Roshan, but it's going to cost them their top lane tower and maybe even 2 of their top lane towers, actually. Death Prophet still has Exorcism that is maxed out for the moment. So yeah, this might even cost them 2 towers and the Sand King death. I mean, Roshan is a nice little advantage for yourself, especially when it's only split between 2 players, but losing this much is a little bit dangerous.
It is. They're not going to lose the second tier 2, so I'll say that's worth it for myInsanity because they're, I don't know, pretty far behind in the golden experience. Any trade that you're able to find like that is probably a good one, but the Sand King dying beforehand is not worth it. I'll just look at that in the vacuum. Tier 1 tower up top for the Roshan. It's a trade we see very often, and it's a fairly even one. Invis rune on E-skills might find them a kill onto Victor. Victor is very dead. He'll silence up E-skills before falling down, but he is going to die. Now with the Blink Dagger available for the Brewmaster, the double blinking heroes of the Brew and the Centaur, this is very scary, and I think that Coast can just start 5-manning down towers with myInsanity being able to do very little about it. It looks like the plan, just go down mid. The tier 1 tower there isn't going to survive for long with the maxed out Witchcraft as well as the level 1 Exorcism. It's not the best pushing spell, but it's enough to get this tier 1.
If the Sand King had his Blink Dagger right now and was level 7, then myInsanity could have, on paper, made a defense for this, but seeing as though the Sand King spent so much time down the bottom lane and then died, he was slowed down so much that really myInsanity can't even dream of defending these towers. They don't have any way of getting into those fights. Templar Assassin doesn't have a Blink Dagger. If she did, then that would be another way of getting in, but you know, kind of suicidally. Sand King is really the best bet for myInsanity to start the fights. They really can't do anything outside of a Blink Burrow Strike once Coast decide to go for a tower push, and at this point, seeing as though they just got that tower so easily, they're going to be looking to rinse and repeat as much as they can. 8 Mother still has a split. He hasn't used it once, I don't think, and he wants to. And once the Death Prophet ultimate comes back on cooldown in another minute, then it's going to be Coast grouping up for yet another tower. Whether it's going to be bottom or top or mid, it doesn't really matter since I don't think myInsanity can defend it either way.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. LeBron finally finds himself the Blink Dagger, so this is the time they need to make something happen with the smoke. he's probably going to find himself a kill. Let's see who it's going to be on, or if it's actually going to succeed. There's not a lot of follow-up to the Blink Dagger initiation from the Sand King, but that alone should be enough. Morphling Waveform on top could be nice, but yeah, this Morphling is just going to take too long to get online. This game, I'm kind of torn on the build I want to see from the Morphling. I think he's damned either way. He could go for more of a fighting build, get a BKB, and try to engage, or maybe just shore up more for the late game and go like Linken's Ethereal Blade, although the Linken's isn't going to block much, with the exception of like Drunken Haze, Purge from the Shadow Demon. It's still a nice item for a Morphling to have, but it's just not going to be enough. Either way, he's going to need 2 items before he actually does anything, and now E-Skills yules this up the Templar Assassin. Are they going to follow this one up? The Sand King is there with the Burrow Strike initiation from the Blink Dagger, and they won't go. Solon just a little too low after jungling up, and this Centaur, he's going to get dangerously close to a pipe for his team. Once he has that available, this Sand King initiation is not going to be the end-all be-all, and even before then, it's only going to be useful to afterwards. That damage is going to be useless. It's all going to be about the Burrow Strike, and then it's if the Templar Assassin can get the damage out. And right now, the answer is no.
That was actually a smoke gank from myInsanity that they ran into the Centaur Warrunner, blinked Burrow Strike, and dumped everything they had on him. But he got enough time to land a Hoof Stomp, which caught a couple, and then he just stampeded himself away. That Hood of Defiance, I don't know if it is the defining factor in what let him survive, but it certainly did help, and now he's back onto full HP. Between Tranquils and Hood, soon to be Pipe, this Centaur actually has a ton of regeneration, which is, kind of weird because regeneration is never a huge factor in these games unless you're talking about a Necrophos or something like that, but he's pretty free to double edge at will, and he's going to be able to fight and then back off and then fight some more. It's not the sickest amount of regeneration, but for 14 minutes in, 22, 23 regeneration is pretty high. Like, that is impressive amounts of regeneration, especially on someone who hits himself with his skills. So Solon's going to be clearing creeps very effectively, as they do very easily take the bottom lane tier 1 tower coast. 14 minutes in, and they have all the tier 1 towers under their belt, plus a kill score advantage, and now they're looking at Zmai up on top lane. He's going to teleport out. Unfortunately, the Hoof Stomp is a little bit too out of range. LeBron and Victor both in the area. They can't really do anything. This Morphling, he did escape, which is, I guess, nice, but he just needs 15 more minutes in order to get himself in this game at all. BKB, I feel like, is probably the only way to go, since they're going to need this Morphling to fight, but once he does get the BKB, then he doesn't actually do that much with it. Like, yeah, you can't hit him with your spells, but do you really need to? I don't think you do, because he doesn't actually do that much damage. So Coast, they have a pretty commanding lead in this game. It's 5,000 gold in their advantage, 3,000, a little bit more than 3,000 in their experience. It's not huge by any means, but it's still going to be more than enough because of the team fights that they do have.
Yeah, I would say so. It's that 15 minutes that myInsanity need to buy before they actually get online. TP away from the Brewmaster. It looks like he's going down towards bottom, looking for Cassine. Nobody cancel that TP. He'll be just fine as Solon blinks into the trees as well. They are going to find themselves a kill in the Shadow Demon. Now chasing down E-Skills. They're trying to slow him down with the trap and looking for a LeBron jump. 3 seconds before the blink and 3 seconds before the Burrow Strike is too long. They chase up to Death Prophet with their maxed out Witchcraft. Oh my goodness. Couldn't speak there for a second. But yeah, that is going to be it. As myInsanity are angling for that late game. Nature's Prophet is not going to be fighting at all. This is going to be a change of the build that we're kind of accustomed to right now. The stats or just the Maelstrom blink. Yeah, he's going to go for the Midas and presumably Necrobook next. He just needs to push out lanes as best he can, while his team tries to avoid fights as well.
Well, Coast get a nice little trade there, or get a nice little exchange of events, rather. Did I say Coast? myInsanity get a good exchange of events. Apparently I can't speak either. They get the tower as well as the Shadow Demon kill, and really that's nothing but wins for myInsanity, especially since they want to play this so passively. Any sort of win that they get is huge, as they do get Handskin. No, he disrupts himself at the last possible second. However, E-Skills getting hit with a concussive, dropping to 30 HP. Solon's going to catch LeBron in the trees. Double edge is there, and LeBron is so screwed. The Centaur is just going to whack him to death. No way in hell Sand King can escape that. myInsanity, they bring 2 heroes down very low, but unfortunately that doesn't actually mean anything without having Nature's Prophet to finish them off or something like that. They're just going to go back to the base. So myInsanity loses Sand King and don't get this tower either. myInsanity, they don't want to be doing this. This is the worst possible thing for them to do. Losing heroes and just bleeding out because of it. They want to, at the very, for worst case for them, they want to remain even on the kill score. They don't want anyone to die, because every single death you give to Coast is just so much that you're not getting back, and they just want to keep this game at parity. And 9-4, it's still manageable for sure for myInsanity, but if they give up too many kills like that without getting beneficial trades elsewhere, then Coast, they're going to be running away with this lead that they have right now. And especially since Myon, the Morphling, is going for what looks like a Lincoln Sphere, this Morphling is not going to be able to really get going for a very, very long time. And really the 4 other heroes from myInsanity have not really been holding the fort. I mean, they kind of have been, but definitely not well enough. Mid lane push now as LeBron is in a perfect position for an epicenter. Though going into this is fairly suicidal. He's going to be forced to back off. Tower goes down for Coast, and they still have a little bit of exorcism left. In fact, they have a lot of exorcism left. That tower didn't last nearly as long as I thought it was going to. Now they're going to go for high ground. Fortification is available, and I think myInsanity are going to have to use it. They do. Sand King is now in the base. His 8-Mother does go straight for Victor. There's the split, and they're probably going to kill the Skywrath Mage very easily. There's the right click on the rock. Victor's going to go down with one more punch. There it is. That's the death of the Skywrath Mage. It's a pretty integral part of myInsanity's defense, seeing as though they can 100-0 someone pretty much with this Mystic Flare. But still, the tower is taking quite a bit of damage. Milan's going to come in, but LeBron's actually fighting against 8-Mother. Not what you want to do. Now Milan going to get hoof stomped and drunken hazed. They can't really do anything off of that, though, as they're forced to back out. Solon does have a Stampede just in case they do want to fully disengage, and there it is. No one from Coast is going to die. They go up, they get a lot of damage onto the tier 3 tower, and they get a kill to boot. Coast, they're going to play this one a little bit cautiously, and they're going to back up, wait for the exorcism to be back, and then once that happens, rinse, repeat, and take the tier 3.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't. Templar Assassin getting pretty close to her BKB. About, let's see, 900 gold or so away from that. Once she has the BKB, she can sit in fights, but then again, Drunken Haze is going to be the bane of her existence in these engagements. When that BKB is down, she's going to be missing so many of her attacks, and she just can't effectively fight. Also, defensive disruptions will be very useful, just keeping her in the bubble. Yeah, she can't fight until she gets BKB. They will find, yet again, they'll find Hanskin, and he's going to fall. Steel Kid almost throws out the ultimate, but does cancel. There's the ult. It's only going to bounce to the Templar Assassin, who it does have the refraction up, and now Steel Kid going focused by the Skywrath Mage. Skywrath Mage is going to die before he gets Steel Kid, but the Arcane Bolt will be enough damage. Now the Burrow Strike comes through. It is going to try to get him to trees. It's not going to get him to safety. He skulls notches himself that kill with the Crypt Storm and an auto attack. 2-for-1 the trade. Cost of a Lich ultimate, however. It's not the worst for myInsanity, but then again, it's not the best. I'd take that if I were myInsanity, and Coast aren't going to be too sad about it either. Fairly even.
Well, actually, Hanskin did die, and then he actually bought back, so that is actually, yeah, much bigger for myInsanity than it would have been if it was just a regular 2-for-2 trade. It's support buying back, so he's not going to have his Force Staff or whatnot, but it's not too crippling for Coast. It's just a little bit more gold that myInsanity got out of that fight.
Yeah, I didn't actually see that the Shadow Demon bought back, as we might see it go up in top. They are going to silence up the Morphling, but I think we'll be able to run away. Let's see. Eul Scepter going to initiate with the Centaur, and actually, no, he's not. Double-edged Strength Dwarf is going to save you there, and well comboed by them. I thought the Morphling had something. Apparently, he didn't have a Replicate out and wasn't able to get away to safety. He shouldn't be farming there without a Replicate.
Yeah, kind of suicidal from the Morphling, just depending on his strength morph and waveform to get him out, which normally, most of the time, it would get you out a lot, but not against the Death Prophet with the silence, as well as the Centaur with his stuns, and ooh, Templar Assassin actually finds a kill on the Shadow Demon down bottom. Every single time Coast have lost heroes, I feel like it's always been the Shadow Demon. Now the Brewmaster's going to come in and look for Grazine. He does have a Blink split, but I don't know if he wants to do it, because Victor's now going to rotate in. The 3 Bracer Skywrath Mage build, it's been a while since I've seen this one, but they're going to go for 8-Mother with the silence and the right click. Mystic Flare is there. 8-Mother, will he be able to split out of this? It looks like he just barely won't. He got the animation, but it just wasn't enough. They get 2 kills, myInsanity down on bottom. However, the top lane is being pushed. myInsanity might be able to make a trade here. Centaur's going to come in looking for this Templar Assassin. They don't know about who's actually going to go for Victor. This is a very tanky target, though, in the Skywrath Mage. And he's going to get sprouted. Grazine, no! He's going to sacrifice Victor to the Solon while the rest of his teammates get away. Oh, man. Poor Skywrath Mage. He did not deserve that. But they do take the tower up top, Coast Gaming, and they do defend their own tower. They're going to lose a tower in the end, but it's only a tier 1, and they might actually get LeBron after the Steel Kid's going to be there with an Urn Charge as well as a Frost Blast. Chain Frost is there and it will be deployed. That will kill off the Sand King mid-Burrow Strike. So Lich using his ultimate to get a solo kill. myInsanity, they are bleeding heroes, and as I said before, this is the worst possible thing for them.
Even though they are bleeding heroes, the Morphling and Templar Assassin are still keeping up in the farm department. We have a completed Lincoln's flying out to the Morphling, or very close to being completed, just 100 gold or so away. The Templar Assassin has their completed BKB, and from here on out, it's either damage or a blink. I'm just going to assume that it's going to be damage for Milan. Items are coming out for Coast, but they're of a similar caliber. The Shiva's Guard on Death Prophet is going to be very useful, especially up against the Temple Assassin. For herself, that extra armor is going to be nice, as well as the slowed attack speed. But yeah, it's definitely anybody's game at this point. The gold graph is almost completely leveled out, about 1,000 in the favor of Coast. The experience is a little bit further in their favor, but this is perfectly acceptable for myInsanity. Even though they've lost some heroes, the heroes that are dying aren't very important. No offense to Skywrath Mage's Sand King, but 1, 6, and 6 on this Skywrath, and 1, 5, and 5... or 4, or 0, 5, and 4, excuse me, on the Sand King. This is fine. They look for the Templar Assassin, they don't find her with the Hoof Stomp. They didn't drop this ultimate from the Centaur for that one, so nothing really lost. So yeah, Templar Assassin farming safely due to the fact that she has some good traps set up.
Morphling finally has his Lincoln Sphere, so he'll be a little bit safer versus the Coast side. I think Coast, they're kind of just wasting their time with these tier 2s. Obviously, they open the door for tier 3s later on, but they could very easily just force a fight over in mid lane and use their team fights to their advantage. They are slowly starting to lose this gold advantage that they had, but still they have such a crushing team fight that they could very convincingly, force fights and come out on top, even though the gold may not be heavily in their favor. They're going to go for the bottom lane tier 2, which is, I suppose, a realistic enough goal, but this is going to slow down a possible tier 3 push, because Exorcism is really what lets them push. Morphling is going to teleport in. There's a Hoof Stomp waiting for him, potentially. He's going to go for the Shadow Demon, who gets hits with a Burrow Strike. Steel Kid's going to run right by with Stampede with the mech. Hanskin's going to survive for now. No Chain Frost available. Actually, it is. Not going to bounce a single time, though. Milan just going to snipe out the Shadow Demon. Now Green Zine coming in from behind, killing off the Lich. Another Burrow Strike from LeBron is going to hit a couple of heroes, but I don't know if that's going to be necessarily enough. E-Skills is still very healthy. He's going to try to go for Milan, who is stunned up, but still melded. He's silenced, and that doesn't work unless you move him. They're trying to burn through, and there it is. But another 2-man Burrow Strike and a blink out from the Sand King. Milan is going to go down with one more swarm. Zmai has been in the middle of this fight for a very long time, but he's actually not doing anything because he doesn't have any damage items. He's going to get focused down with the double edge. That's a mega kill for Solon as they throw the Nature's Prophet up into the air. He's going to be landing into a whole pile of messy stuff, but he blinks out right in time. That was actually not a Yule Scepter. That was a Storm Cyclone which let Grazine escape. It was a decent fight for myInsanity, all things considered. However, they lost their Morphling and the Templar Assassin, and they're going to lose a tier 2 tower as well. Ultimately, no matter how well they fight that fight, if Morphling and Templar Assassin die, you have to say it's a loss for myInsanity.
I think so as well. It looked pretty good for them. The Templar Assassin was surviving through a long time with that, but she just didn't have any way to disengage or get out of that. They popped the pipe as an Arcane Bolt is absorbed by that, but not much else. Now the Skywrath Mage might die for it. They are going to jump in with the Burrow Strike initiation, but there's no follow-up that. Ape Mother is going to fall low, and they silence up the Centaur Warner, but it looks like Grazine's the one to die. Use the Orchid, but now the Crypt Swarm is going to be enough to secure his demise, and that's a mega kill, and now Burrow Strike lands onto 2. Ape Mother's not looking too healthy, but they don't have a way to actually kill him. As LeBron is going to be jumped on 2. That's another Crypt Swarm kill, and now they're looking for more as the Shiva's Guard is deployed onto Victor. Victor is going to be slowed down by that, but they can't jump in. Ape Mother going to clean up the Morphling Replicant. Now the Adaptive Strike goes away, but the Yule Scepter into the Hoof Stomp for Victor is going to be brought down. 21-10. That last fight, I'm not sure why myInsanity tried to pick somebody off there. They just kind of walked in casually and then get picked off.
Yeah, the Skywrath Mage wanted in, the Nature's Prophet decided to follow. They're now going to catch a stomp onto Zmai as well as Milan. The burst on the Morphling is going to be enough to kill him off, and Milan also going to be on the run, forced into the BKB. He might survive, but survival is the least of his problems right now because his base is going to be very quickly destroyed. E-Skills with the Yule Scepter as well as the intelligence that he has is going to use Exorcism for the second time in this series of fights, and that's going to be the end of the bottom lane Raxes. They do go in for more. Solon is going to jump in, try to get more kills. He's going to pipe up and absorb a full Mystic Flare Burrow Strike and still be at more than half HP. Ape Mother's going to jump in for a 3-man clap split. Now who does he want? He's going to go for Victor. The easy Skywrath Mage, and LeBron also going to get caught in the crossfire is going to go down. The rest of the myInsanity heroes trying to hide in their base, but they've lost the bottom Raxes. Coast, they are going to be riding this team fight all the way to the set of Raxes, and probably going to do it again shortly. myInsanity, I feel like they should have let that tower, tier 2 tower fall and then back up and try to fight in their base for the tier 3s, but going for that just opened the door for Coast to make that last push, and losing Raxes is absolutely crippling. It's been bad enough for them, but now they're a Rax down, and the Morphling still doesn't have anything to actually help him fight. Like, Lincoln Sphere is a good item on Morphling for sure, but he's 100% ignorable for Coast, and that's exactly what they did until they found an opportunity to kill him. So it's 27 minutes in, and Coast are looking at a victory if they, as long as they don't completely screw this game up.
I think so. They still have the chance that Coast are going to mess up, as well as the hope for a Divine Rapier on your Templar Assassin with that Demon Edge. I think it's honestly worth going for it if you're able to find that amount of gold. Otherwise, it's just going to be casual. Any damage is going to be good for the Templar Assassin. And Roshan is a good way to start things off for myInsanity. It is a best of one, so this is going to be it. But the Shiva's Guard to catch his vision inside the Roshan pit. They're going to jump in with 8 Mother. Now Milan, he's caught out. He is not going to be able to throw any attacks. His attack speed is slow. They jump in on 8 Mother. He's just taking no damage from that Epicenter drop, not even a half. Now the Adaptive Strike as well as the Arcane Bolt jumping in. But there's the Centaur, double Hoof Stomp, double edge. And now this is going to be a kill there. The Morphling's going to replicate forward. He kills off the Lich, but that's only going to be a temporary fix as he's trying to strength forward move through it, but he's taking a lot of damage from the Exorcism. He's still surviving, but now with the Shadow Demon going forward, they're going to find themselves another kill. That's 3 down for only the Lich, and now Roshan going their way. This is as good as GG, I would say.
Yeah, that was the last Hail Mary that myInsanity had to throw. That being Divine Rapier Aegis would have given them a fighting chance, I would say, but no, because Coast shut that down so hard, myInsanity, they landed an Epicenter, which I think was like the first one in this game, but either way, that was just not enough in the tank. So Coast Gaming, with their 2 stand-ins, or 2 quote-unquote stand-ins, going to ride this team fight as well as this early game blinking Centaur, blinking Brewmaster all the way to a victory. And myInsanity go for a very greedy lineup and play it greedily as well, and are ultimately punished. This is a best of 1, and Team Coast are going to break this tie with a win.
Yeah, I think that is going to round us out here for HeflaTV 1 as well. Yeah, a lot of these tiebreakers have just been pretty fast and furious. I think myInsanity, a lot of that came down to the draft. There was hope for them, but in the end, the nail in the coffin was just that bottom fight. They tried to defend their tier 2, and then they just kept on throwing bodies. And when you throw bodies up against a team with a Death Prophet, it's pretty easy to push up high ground.
Alright guys, that's going to be it for us today, I think, unless something surprising comes up. But yeah, for the most part, we should be done for today, as the tiebreakers were the only things we had to cover. Pretty easy day, but hope you guys enjoyed the cast nonetheless. If you did, make sure to hit that follow button and get notified next time we go online. And also, if you want to follow us a little bit more, twitter.com, facebook.com/HeflaTV. All the VODs will be up on youtube.com/HeflaMoke in a couple of hours, I would say. And then aside from that, I've been Mike Loris. He is Grandis V. We've been your casters. Always a pleasure. And that should be it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time. GG.